Hi, welcome to 10-Minute Violin. We are so glad to have you join us here today. I'm Miguel Ramirez, and this is the live stream training session for the 10-minute practice video titled Violin 3-Point Bow Draw Part 2. I want to make sure everyone has a good understanding of our format here at 10-Minute Violin. First of all, I want to clarify that this session here is not the 10-minute practice video itself. It's the training session where we'll explain in detail how to best approach the material presented in our Violin 3-Point Bow Draw 10-minute practice video. It's important to watch this training session at least once before following along with the 10-minute practice video so you can optimize your time spent with it. There will also be a question and answer time at the end of this training session for those of you who are tuning in live. And the separate 10-minute practice video will be available on our YouTube channel directly following this session. An easy way to think about it is if you view this live stream training session as your lecture or class and the separate 10-minute practice video as your lab or homework. Since this will be the final training session for the Bowing Fundamentals series, we'll not be having a live stream next Thursday. So we have adequate time to prepare the material for the next series, which will focus on violin left-hand skills. So the next live stream training session will be on Thursday, September 10th at the regular time. At this time, I'd like to introduce my brother and co-host of 10-Minute Violin, John Ramirez.
Hello, everyone. It's nice being here with you guys, and I'm hoping that you've gotten a lot out of the series that we've done those last few weeks, and I'm looking forward to our next series. We're going to move back to Miguel while we wait for more people to come online, and I'll see you a little bit later.
Okay, so in this training session, we're going to pull together all the skills you've developed from carefully practicing along with the previous 5 practice videos and now use them to draw out some beautifully sustained tones on the violin. This is one of the most common types of bow strokes on the violin, and it is called the détaché stroke. Accomplishing this détaché stroke today on half and full bows will be the culmination of our previous work and will wrap up our series on bowing fundamentals. Finally, we hope this information will be valuable for you no matter what level you're on at the violin, and also be helpful for those of you who are viola students. I'd like to take a moment to say hi to those in the chat room. Let's check in with John to see who's joining us today.
We have quite a few people, but only one so far has said hello, and that's hello to Kelvin in New Jersey. Nice of you to be here. I see that you've been pretty consistent in watching our streams. That's great. We'll probably have a little more time to talk to everybody a little bit more at the end of the stream as people come on. So I'll send you back to Miguel.
All right, so you can submit your questions in the chat at any time during the training session, and we'll get to as many as we can after we finish covering all the material. Since there's about a 15-second delay between broadcasting live in our studio and when you receive it at home, try to submit your questions before the end of the 3-point bow draw section of the training to make sure that we see them. And last few things before we dive into the material, follow the links below if you'd like to book a private lesson with me or John. And if you find our content helpful, I'd like to remind you to subscribe, hit the bell to be notified every time we release a new video, like and share it with your friends. All right, so in this week's practice video, there will only be 2 exercises. If there's anything that's too difficult about this week's exercises for you, the best strategy is to go back through the other practice videos and use them daily until you've really mastered each one. The beauty of having the practice videos available on our YouTube channel is that you can always go back and use them over and over again until you feel comfortable. The better that you get at all those previous skills presented in the series, the better chance you'll have to feel comfortable with today's exercises. So the first exercise today is speed bow leaps. Speed bow leaps. And so last week we went over the bow leaps with a bow leap on the first of every 4 metronome ticks. So this week's exercise will be faster, with a bow leap on the first of every 2 metronome ticks, then on every single metronome tick. Before we start, I'll remind you to always check for a correct arm level on each string, right? And also on each point of the bow, right? You'll also want to remember how the bow feels in the hand at each point and on each string, okay? So generally we have a pretty neutral feel when the bow is at the middle. At the tip, we're pronating, and then we're balancing the weight of the rest of the bow when we're close to the frog with the pinky. A couple more details about that is that each string will feel slightly different, especially at the tip and at the frog. So at the frog on the E string, the bow is angled, if you notice that it's angled more vertically. So in other words, not completely vertical, but it's more vertical. So there's less weight for the pinky to have to balance here. And if we contrast that with the bow on the G string, the bow, if we notice, it goes more horizontal. So then there's more weight that the pinky has to balance. So when it's completely vertical, there's like no weight for it to balance. But the more horizontal it goes, the more weight. So the other 2 strings will be like somewhere in between those things. So like the E string, A string, D string, and G string. So it's gonna get progressively more weight for you to balance from the E all the way to the G. At the tip, the G is a thicker string. So it will need slightly more pronation to get the string vibrating here than the E string. So the E string is going to be a little less pronation just because it's a thinner string if we're at the same sounding point. So again, the other strings will be somewhere in between those 2 extremes. Each exercise will begin with an upstroke at the middle, leaping to the frog, and then we'll do a downstroke, leaping back to the middle. From there, we'll do a downstroke from the middle to land at the tip, and then upstroke back to the middle. After that, we'll do a downstroke at the frog, leaping to the tip, and upstroke leaping back to the frog. We'll start on the E string, and we'll do this process on the first of every 2 metronome ticks, and then we'll repeat the whole process on every single metronome tick. We'll do the same thing then on A, D, and G. So I'll show you what it looks like. I'm going to start the metronome. Metronome's at 60. When you practice with the practice video, it's going to be, you don't need to use your own metronome. You can just use the one that is going to be audible in the video. And but just to let you know, it is at 60. So what it looks like here on the E string, we're starting in the middle. And we're doing every other tick at first. So it goes a 1, 2, and then down back to the middle. So if you remember before, we did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back to the middle, 2, 3, 4. So by doing it on the first of every 2, we're increasing the speed. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. The next is going from the middle to tip. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and so forth. Then from the frog to the tip, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'll make another side note here is that you want to make sure that the bow lands on the string before it's time to actually play. I'm landing somewhere in that second beat. So we'll do the same process on the A string. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. To the tip, downstroke, 2, upstroke, 2, downstroke, land, upstroke to the middle. Frog to the tip, 1, 2, 1, land, land, land. D string, ready, go, land. Same thing on the upper half. And as you're doing this, don't forget to check your arm levels. Don't forget to check as you're doing it, you're on the one plane and that you are in one sounding point and that you're keeping your bow straight as well. Looking like that. Okay. And finally the G string, it's going to be up bow to the frog, down bow to the middle, and then to the tip, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and frog to tip. 1, 2. Okay, so what this does is starts to free up your arm to do the stroke quickly. The next thing is to do it every single metronome tick. And I think, let's see here, the video will go through each string first, like it'll be the E string, and it'll be one every 2 clicks, and then every single click on the E string, and then the A string will do, again, every other tick, and then every single tick on the A string. And then it'll do, again, both exercises on the D string and both exercises on the G string. So it's a little bit, I'm showing you a little bit in a different order than is actually on the video. But once you see the video, you'll see the order that's there. So here's what it looks like every single tick. 1, 2, 1, or you can just think, 1, 1, 1. It's just every single one. 1, 1, 1, 1. So you have to get used to it. It's a pretty fast stroke and a fast landing too, because we don't want to just like kind of bounce like that. We actually have to land. 1, land, 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 in between those ticks. Okay, and then finally from the frog to the tip. So it's a really big, fast motion that you have to keep your bow controlled in between. So this might take some time, and it's okay. You keep working on it, and you'll get it. So then we'll do the same thing. I'll just kind of quickly go over the rest of the strings on every single tick, and then we'll go on to the next exercise. So here's the A string. And then finally, the whole stroke. D string looks like this. And then finally, G string looks like this. So this is a really good way to test your, if you've memorized all the bow arm levels. Really, it's a really good way to test that. And again, if you have any, if it's hard to remember all that, go back again to the previous videos. All right, so let's go on to the next exercise, the second and final exercise of this week. I'm going to turn this metronome off. is going to be 3-point bow draw. And I know we've used that phrase a lot, but this is really it. This is the bow on the strings. Here we'll be connecting the dots with the bow completely on the string, while you still want to monitor that you're doing all the correct arm levels, keeping the bow straight and in the middle sounding point, right? You know, like this. And making sure that the bow has the right feel in the hand, like we just talked about, at each point and on every string. So it's going to feel different in the hand in all those places. And now you have the additional task of making the tone quality have that good sound we were able to get when we did the table bowing exercise way back when. And so if you remember that table bowing exercise, I'll just kind of do that real quick here. That we had the violin on the table, and then we just kind of drew the bow, looking from above, and we're just trying to get that. That nice tone that you know a violin should be able to make. And the string is like responding to your bow, and it doesn't feel like it's fighting it, and it's sounding open and resonant. That's what you would have to now listen for when we're doing this 3-point bow draw, in addition to checking everything else. But the thing is, if we're doing all the rest of the stuff right, then that's going to contribute to having that beautiful sound. And you listen to that sound and adjust if you're not hearing it that is being made correctly, and then keep listening and then keep adjusting. Okay? So remember to move gradually through the stroke from arm level to arm level, right? So connecting the dots like we've talked about, and gradually between how the bow feels in the hand from one point to the next. So from the middle, we're feeling more or less neutral. As we go to the tip, we're pronating, but it's not like the leaps where you're like one feel and then another feel. It has to go like gradually now, a little more pronated until you have the tip level, and then back and release that to the middle. And then as you go to the frog, engage the pinky, and make sure that you're balancing the weight from the tip of the bow. But again, it's not just like from one place to the next, it's gradually. So more neutral, now more engaged with the pinky, more balancing, more weight to balance, and like all the weight of this part of the bow to balance there. So those are the things to watch out for when you're actually going through the stroke. So the order of the exercise in the practice video will be 2 metronome ticks from the middle to the frog. Then we're going to rest 2 ticks, then 2 ticks from the frog to the middle. Next will be 2 metronome ticks from the middle to tip, rest 2 ticks, then 2 ticks from the tip to the middle. After that, we'll do 2 ticks from the middle to the tip, rest 2 ticks, and then 4 ticks from the tip all the way then to the frog. From there, we'll rest 2 ticks and then do 4 ticks again from the frog to the tip. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do that starting on the E string and repeat the process through the rest of the strings. So that all might sound kind of confusing, but I'll demonstrate right now and you'll see it's a pretty simple process. The next part of this exercise is the exact same order, but completely connected and no rests in between the bow strokes. One more thing, the key with this is to continue monitoring each skill we learned at each point in the bow stroke. Okay, and one important thing not to forget is your basic bow hold. Are all the fingers contacting the bow securely at their markings? Right. So remember the markings here on the bow. How those fingers go all the way down, and this one wrapped all the way underneath here and on top, the index finger. it's on the winding, and it goes quite far on the winding, right? And are all the fingers contacting the bow securely at those markings, or are any of them lifting off at any point? If you see my ring finger is lifting off here, I want that secure. My middle finger is lifting off a little bit, put that back. My index finger is now like, this is a common one here, lifting off like that. Let's keep it contacted. So check especially those three fingers, that they're staying connected to the bow. And allow the fingers some slight flexibility like we learned. But if the whole bow arm is positioned correctly and in balance, you're not going to need to move the fingers a whole lot. But they should have some flexibility in them. Okay, so here's what it looks like. I'm going to start the metronome again. And so remember, we're 2 ticks to the frog from the middle, so it looks like this. 1, 2, and then rest 2. 1, 2, back to the middle, rest 2. 2, rest, 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 rest. And then here from the middle to the tip, 1, 2, rest, rest, 1, 2, rest, rest. And then finally, to get to that full 4 counts, I find it's easier to start at the middle, do 2 counts to the tip, rest 2, and then do 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the frog. From there, on the video, you're only going to get 2 rests. I'm stopping a little longer right now, but let's pretend. 1, 2, and then we start 2, 3, 4, all the way back to the tip. And so that's going to happen like, I think 4 times for each half, 4 strokes, and then 1 stroke to the tip, and then I think we do 3 full bow ones ending at the frog. But you'll see it once you get into the video. It'll be obvious. So this one actually does with the rests all the way through the strings. And so I'll do that as an example. And then after that, in the video, you're going to do it without the rests. And that's your détaché stroke right there. So let's go through the other strings here. One, 2, rest, rest. 2, rest, rest. And then the upper half. 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, 2, rest, rest. Keep checking everything out as you're doing this. We're going to go to the tip, rest a couple, and then the whole thing. 1, 2, rest, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we stop there. So we'll go through that process on the other strings. D string, 1, 2, rest, rest, 1, 2, rest, rest, upper half, 2, rest, rest, 1, 2, rest, rest, one more time to the tip, rest, rest, and then all the way, 2, 3, 4, rest, rest, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the tip. And then it does it one more time. I'm shortening it a little bit. You're going to find, again, 4 strokes on each half, 1 additional one here, and then we end up doing 3 full bow strokes. Let's just, so for demonstration purposes, I'm going to cut it short a little bit. Let's do the D string now. Ready, go. 1, oh, didn't I just do the D string?
Yeah.
Okay, G string. Wow, we're already more ahead than I thought. Okay, ready, go. G string, rest, rest, back to the middle, rest, rest to the tip, 2, rest, rest, 1, 2, rest, rest. Okay, and then one more here to the tip, 1, 2, rest, rest, 2, 3, 4, rest, rest, and then back, 2, 3, 4, rest, and then we do one more full bow after that. Okay, so now let's show you the version now without stopping. Same amount of beats on each section of the bow, no stops. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we stop there. A string. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. To the tip. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. D string. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, So listen to the sound that you're making. Does it sound like how you would want it to sound again when you're playing on the table and you had that nice open sound? And then I'll demonstrate finally the G string. Here we go. Ready, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that pulls together, again, all the skills that we've been working on for the past 5 weeks in this series. That's pretty much it for this training session today and for the exercises that are in the practice video. So let's go back to John and see if we have any questions.
Oops, hold on.
That's all right.
There we go. Okay, so we don't have any questions, but we do have quite a few people, but only one more person said hello. And I just want to say hello to Christine. But anyway, just a reminder, I'm going to put the practice video link into the chat so you have that. Either way, you should be able to find it on our channel if you don't get it here on the chat, but I'll put it in right now. Also another thing to think about, playing open strings can be actually useful in trying to produce good tone. I would literally spend a lot of time when I used to do a lot of practice to just focus on the open strings because the moment that you eliminate the left hand and really focusing on the right hand, it opens up more sensitivity as to what type of sound you're trying to create. So again, the more you put more attention to those exercises and trying to develop your tone with no fingers, you'll find that your sound is going to be so much better when you add your fingers, because you're conditioning yourself to do things in the correct manner. It looks like another person has come in with a hello. Sorry if I can't say their first name right, but it looks like Neferti, and the last name is Porter. It's from Oregon, so neat. We get somebody out of California. So anyway, I'm going to send you back to Miguel, and he'll wrap everything up.
All right. Well, hi to everyone who had said hi to us on the chat. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks for giving us a shout out. And also those of you who have not said hi to us, that's fine. I want to say hi too as well to you, and thanks for joining us. And again, follow the links below if you'd like to book a private lesson with me or John. And again, if you find our content helpful, I'd like to remind you to subscribe, hit the bell to be notified every time we release a new video, and like and share it with your friends. Join us again the week after next Thursday, September 10th. The week after next, which is Thursday, September the 10th, at our regular time, as we begin a new series on violin left-hand skills. So we're not going to leave out the left hand and the violin, all the violin stuff. For now, don't forget to follow up daily with the Violin 3-Point Bow Draw Part 2 10-minute practice video, and press play every day. Goodbye for now.